First one. Dwayne's name tag was on there.
You turned it.
Yeah. I remember the 1980s, there was a TV show like that. I shut it up.
We're not supposed to sit next. Oh. That table's completely empty.
So you have
Okay.
Okay, we'll call the order to meeting, the city council at 5:00. Roll call.
Lassie.
Here.
White.
Here.
Anderson.
Here.
Hoheisel. Foster. Boston.
Here. Pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving on, item 4, public input. Yes, Les, come on.
Hey, Paul, how you doing? Oh, does he? Okay. I don't know where the camera is. Okay, I'd like to take this moment and offer up my resignation on the library board. But I'd like to take also this time to thank the people that made it possible. For my short one year term on the Babbitt board, library board. First, the Babbitt City Council appointed me and respected an opposing opinion, especially Glenn Anderson, who endured an uninformed approach on my part, which was later corrected after researching multiple new venues funding for the library. Next, I would like to thank Cheyenne Sersine for her knowledge utilizing the PowerPoint presentation to compile a marketable presentation of library programs to prospective donors. Her energy and experience helped the library quickly act to fill this gap. Third, I'd like to thank Beth Morgan, whose fine photography work and documentation of programs contributed greatly to the impact of the PowerPoint presentation. I would hardly recommend Beth Morgan to anyone who wants to capture the humanistic and emotional aspects that are subject to the lens of the camera. Fortunately for us, these photographs were all on file and provided by Lisa Penelon, our library director. And not to be forgotten was our past Babbitt Library President, John Fitzpatrick. John provided additional energy and direction to utilize the presentation to alert community organizations and employers of the need for additional funding. Not only did he recognize the need, but he found a solution in a timely manner, which everybody else was crying the blues, or should I say, pointing fingers. Moving forward, I'd like to offer a few suggestions that would make the Babbitt Library better to serve the existing members plus recruit additional members. First, review the protocols of the state library trustee handbook. That is the responsibility of all appointees and library directors. The responsible sign-off sheets are a must, a necessity for any business. Collect membership and interaction program data. The library does this, but we don't decipher the data, nor do we apply it. Third, I'd like to see us create surveys analyzing the membership programs and address any additional customer suggestions for program involvement. Some programs have many participants, some programs have very few. We need to stay current in an ever-changing marketplace. Currently, the digital, the AI is on the forefront. New hardware and software are needed, as well as current book releases. We also need to apply critical thinking for the data that's collected. Data is considered the new gold of the 21st century. Next, there's a never-ending challenge to appointing members to action committees of any type to bring knowledge and wisdom to the committee. And last, of significant importance, is the funding programs and their application. Yeah, I know funding is always a challenge. The Babbitt City Council cannot and does not have the funds necessary to support the entire budget of the library. That doesn't mean that there aren't other avenues of funding. There are, and let's do the research. The state and other agencies have surpluses and are aware of the library's needs. I remember what a Babbitt council member once said to me that was Wayne. He says, what good is a criticism without a solution? I couldn't agree with him more. Thank you, all of you.
Any other public input?
Good evening. Can you hear me? Okay, just sounds weird from where I'm standing. After Les Parsons' resignation last night, I'm aware that there are 2 open positions on the library board. I applied in December and was surprisingly denied by Mr. Lassie in January. I'd love to appeal to you, but I think it's best that I recall my application. I'm no longer interested in working on the board due to the following environment at meetings. The board didn't produce a timely budget to all board members for 2024. They do not set goals or timelines. They only follow select rules. The board can't evaluate employees of the library, specifically the director's professional discipline of her staff. It should seek to avoid and discourage bullying in the workplace. It allows unprofessional habits and disrespectful language at meetings. The board does not formally amend agendas, minutes, or budgets. Normally, you would see cooperation and collaboration around plans and programs, but recent past events have not exhibited this type of behavior. To close, I hope this council will appoint efficient, competent team players who will bring a more positive mood to the table during times of change. I know Jim and I have our differences, but I still respect him for all the time he has served Babbitt and for the few victories I've seen him undertake in the last year. I hope he can learn to appreciate my strengths as well. I will continue to attend these meetings and update the public on our beloved libraries and staff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public input? No other public input, we move on to additions and deletions. A, Minnesota state flag, which we will move down to L, under business. Can you hear me? E, appoint member of library board. You can just, let's keep that under K, just add that to the K that we already have on there. Yeah, we'll be appointing 2 members tonight. C, delete 10B zoning violation for 12 Mulberry. That will be under M, under new business. Oh, deleting 10B, sorry. Okay, and D, we have Les Parsons resignation, that would be M. Okay. We have a consent agenda? Or,
I'll move to accept the additions and deletions.
I'll second that.
motion by Lassie, second by White, to accept additions and deletions. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Discussion? Carries. Moving on to item number 6, consent agenda. Approve the minutes of the EDA and regular meetings of January 16, 2024. Approve of bill and payrolls as audited by the audit committee with addition to St. Louis County auditor. C, overtime report. And D, correspondence. Motion to accept consent agenda.
I motion we accept that.
Motion by White, second by Hoheisel, to accept consent agenda. Roll call.
I'd like to add something, if I could, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Paul.
I would like to have the minutes state that the donations of $8,000 that went into the library will be put on the record for operations and not for programs, but not operations of the library itself. Is that? It does not state that. And the motion, 2 weeks ago, was to accept the $8,000, but it did not state what it was for. And it's for operations of the program.
Programs. Can you hear when Paul's speaking, folks? Can, is this loud as it is? And this one is as loud as it is also. So you're gonna have that.
Yeah, we have Jason. Should come on. Jason, you're here to talk about, a little bit about the West Babbitt.
I can be here to talk about it, I can be here to talk about it if needed.
Yeah, I kind of wanted you here to talk about this a little bit, so
Sure.
we're gonna put you on unfinished.
Sounds good.
Jason is PA on unfinished business.
Yeah.
West Baton Rouge. Okay, thank you, Paul, for that. So we're still looking for, we have a motion on the table. Any other discussion? Roll call. Approval of consent agenda?
Lassie,
Yes?
White,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Hoheisel,
Yes.
Lossing.
Yes. Okay, moving to, item 7, Can-Am Spaceport. Dave Neville here is going to, give us some information.
10 minutes?
Yeah.
Or 10 minutes? Hi, my name is Dave Nuttall. I am the founder and president of Minnesota Innovates. We're a nonprofit kind of dedicated to helping entrepreneurs and bringing educational events throughout Minnesota. In the cities, we host the Entrepreneur Kickoff. Fergus Falls, East Grand Forks, we host the Midwest CEO Summits. I'm also the president and founder of Infinity Robotics. We're a robot integrator. My ultimate goal is to build robots that go into outer space and mine outer space. As a result, sitting at my cabin out on Bear Island Lake in Babbitt, I thought, why go out to Arizona, or Florida, and deal with their mosquitoes and humidity? We have plenty of that in Babbitt. So I did a little research and I found out that the Iron Range is basically the last spot in the US to launch rockets to the moon, Mars, or asteroid belt. And right now we have Cape Canaveral, we have Vandenberg. Elon Musk has a private facility in Boca Chica, and if you can deal with the weather, you could do this in Kodiak, Alaska. There are 25 other states building spaceports. The general consensus is to launch a rocket along the ground and pray it goes up in the air before it hits a city. We actually could do vertical launches out of the mine pits from White Lakes up to Babbitt, potentially starting down in Taconite Harbor if we choose. So we've been working on this for about 2 years, talking to the FAA, talking to the Metropolitan Airport Commission, kind of finding out there is a need for this. We're calling it the Canadian American Spaceport, Can-Am, because we are really close to some air rights and water rights of Canada. Now, you think this is kind of crazy? We're the only state in the nation that has a giant sea to the east of us that's long enough to do this. So we would go about 160 miles out over Lake Superior. We'd be 60,000 feet, and then we would turn towards the North Pole going over Canada. To put this in a feasibility aspect, the Russians have launched every rocket they've ever owned 2 degrees north of Babbitt. So climate, things like that aren't a hindrance. The fact that we have a fallout zone and we have a safe area to do this, where there's towns spread out enough, you have to be about 3 miles away from these launch pads. We feel this is the area. Going and meeting with the colonels and generals from Space Force last week, one of the things they shared over and over with me was the states that are doing this have a groundswell of community support, and they have state support. And we have kind of spent the last 2 years talking to the groups in Colorado State, and without this groundswell of support and getting the state behind this isn't going to go anywhere really far. I represent a group of about 5 volunteers that's been running this. We are not a company with $1 billion like Elon Musk. And the properties that are available to do this are owned by mining companies. They are slightly contaminated. The mining companies don't want to sell it. They would like the state to seize the property so that they lose that liability on the environmental degradation. Now, what we propose, if we could ever get this done, is to produce a couple fees. One fee for environmental remediation, start cleaning up these sites. These sites never have to be cleaned up until they change hands. And until they change hands, we're not going to improve them. For the most part, it's iron tailings. So one of the things that actually is kind of good for our water, but there's too much of it, and we need to clean it up in some of these sites. The second fee we'd like to charge is to reach out to our tribal members
and create a Native American astronaut university. The astronauts of tomorrow are going to be a different type of worker. They're not going to be the fly boys from the Air Force that we've normally gone to. It's going to be teachers, it's going to be engineers, it's going to be people who know how to get things done to build these manufacturing, mining colonies in outer space. Why mining in outer space? If you think of Pfizer, they basically grew mRNA crystals to vaccinate a third of our planet. If we were to have grown them in orbit, they would have been better, stronger efficacy, and we would have had to deorbit 2 1-gallon Kemp's ice cream buckets to inoculate a third of the planet. So 6 gallons to do the entire planet on the next epidemic. Why outer space for crystals? When you grow crystals for either food, medicine, particularly medicine, and electronics, they grow smaller and more uniform and are way just more efficient as a result of doing that, and they grow faster. Other things we would do in outer space is harvest organs. Human organs grow in zero gravity better because the scaffolding to grow the cells isn't being collapsed by gravity as it does it. So there's some huge advantages in medicine and manufacturing that we can do, as well as I think we've all kind of had the dream of let's get off the planet and have that kind of lifeboat and maybe that career where we get to go out to see the stars. When we think about the type of launches we do here, it's polar inclination. Polar inclination, you have to go to the North Pole to get to the Moon, Mars, or asteroid belt. From a mining perspective, we look at the range and we think there's about 100 years of mining left here on the range, which sounds like forever for most of us. But that's 3 to 4 generations. And we need to start evolving this economy that not only embraces that next century of mining, but takes it beyond that. And I think we've known that for about 50 years, our resources are finite. Although if you live in Babbitt, you keep finding more nickel, more copper, the world's biggest supply of helium, and now the last spot on the US that we can launch rockets from. So I'm here tonight to kind of inform you about it. We think this is a huge opportunity for our union labor on the range, and we're surprised that this is kind of not getting out into the public more. So we're asking union members to contact your local and federal legislatures as well as the public. If this is something you think that you want to grow into, it's a great opportunity. Now, what does this mean by launching rockets? We launched 115 rockets in the US last year. Elon Musk launched 98 of them. So we think about 2030, there's going to be a need for anywhere from 500 to 1,000 launches a year. A couple hundred of them will be polar inclinations. We think Minnesota could capture probably about 100 of those. So think 1 to 2 launches a month, maybe 3 probably for the first few years. Might grow to 10 a month as the industry expands, and it depends how much we want to mine. Now, when we talk mining outer space, we are never bringing back an ounce of iron ore. At $50 for 500 tons or whatever the crazy commodity price iron ore is, that is not something we're going to mine. We'll be going to the moon and mining helium-3, which is a viable energy source. Curious how much helium-3 might be underneath the city as well. Different type of helium, but it's a huge energy source. Think rare earth minerals for magnets. Think about high value lodes like copper, palladium, gold. Right now, about 4 months ago, the US launched a probe to an asteroid called 16 Psyche. That was the core of the planet that blew up and formed the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. That one rock is worth 100 billion, trillion, something else dollars. To put that in perspective, you took every economy in the history of the world, all of them would add up to 0.00, just say for about 10 minutes, 1 of what the current world economies add up to. So there's huge opportunities in outer space to increase, I think, the resources we have access to this planet. But in order to get it done, we need citizens like the people of Babbitt and the unions in the area to step up and ask their legislators to look at this. We do not have a financial interest in it. I do hope to put robots on top of rockets that go out of the Duncan mine pit someday. Would love to see that. And that would be my play. Actually, coming back from SpaceCom, I don't know, did any of the robot club show up? Doesn't look like they made it. The kids in the robot club, they're gonna love this because it's an amazing market for building robots to either build the spacecraft, go into outer space, or to go into outer space with robotics and help mankind expand. With that, I have one last request. Grab a sheet, call your local legislatures, call your federal legislatures, tell them that you want to explore what it would mean to make a spaceport on the Iron. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to item number 8, attorney's report.
Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. It's been a little while since I've been back up to Babbitt, but my partner Mitch got hit by the stomach bug today, and you all drew the short straw. My apologies. But happy to be here. So along those lines, I don't have a report for the council.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
It is good to see you, Joe.
Okay, we'll move to item number 9, and that would be you, Jason.
Sure thing.
Jason, I wanted you on the agenda because we want to start to move the West Babbitt thing forward a little bit. We're under the gun as far as funding and whatever. So where are you as far as developing a plan for the infrastructure there?
So just to kind of refresh everyone's memory, last bonding bill session in May, you guys did receive $2 million towards that project. I'm just going through my notes. On June 26th, we had a committee meeting here with Chris Ishmael from IRRB talking about the city was going to fill out an application for community infrastructure funds. After that meeting, it was decided that the city was going to apply for, I forget what the dollar value, but apply for those funds through IRRB. And at that point, I don't know if any further progress has been made. I think shortly after June 26th, there were some changes to city staff, clerk treasurer. But I don't know if any action has been taken. I think we met one more time after that where I just recommended that the application gets submitted to IRRB and that the city reach out to George Eilerson to talk about look at the grant funding available for the project, what the gap funding would be, so that you could look at options as far as any type of GO bonds or loans that the city would consider to move that project forward. But at this point, we've been on hold with designs. It's about a 90% design completion. We have a cost estimate. It's probably a year old at this point, but about $4 million project, and kind of waiting to see when the city feels they're ready to, with grant dollars in hand, to move the project forward before we finish that and submit for permits to build. Keep in mind, there's a coordination component there. Since this is a fresh subdivision, we've got your typical roads, sewer, water, but there's a component of coordination that's involved with Minnesota Power, getting the power service to the site, getting electrical power to the lots. So that has yet to be, done. Everything is pretty much, they didn't want to go any further with that coordination until this thing was quote unquote shovel ready, and that means having funding in hand.
So yeah, that was, when we asked you this question last time, I think we were doing a study session or something, and you basically said, you asked us if we had went forward with the grant application. Now, that was, since then, we've had a change in the guard here in the city hall, and I don't know, Becky, has there been anything that you, has that been presented to you, have you found where they were on, where you came?
Yep, I reached out to Chris Ismail, talked with him. He basically said that to go any further with our application or anything, we need to have a better plan on what we're going to do. Because right now, IRRB will not fund the project as is without knowing how we're getting people to Babbitt to buy these properties or things like that. We've got a list of things that we want us to follow before we go in that direction again.
Yeah, that seems to be a stumbling block right now.
Yeah, that's news to me.
Yeah, I heard this, and that's why I wanted you up here.
Yeah.
Because we need to know exactly approximately what the cost would be. And then with what Rebecca just said, I mean, what comes first here, the chicken or the egg? We have to have the infrastructure, but then we also have to have a plan to get people in here. So sounds like we might have to do a little promotion or advertising or something.
We had that meeting and that was never brought up at that meeting. So that is news to me. So and from where I'm sitting, I would say maybe consider another meeting with IRRR. For me, that's a pretty open-ended, vague statement. It's, kind of comes across like they want to see some sort of development agreement. But I think another meeting with them is in order to really understand what they're looking for before we can formulate any type of plan moving forward. If the city wants to arrange that meeting, I'm more than willing to attend. I can have Mike attend with me and kind of get the city pointed in the right direction. Just keep in mind, once we figure out the financing, again, there's the IRRB component, and then there's the gap funding that the city may have to look at. Once that funding plan is just like what we did with the campground, once we said, hey, the numbers work, there's going to be a little bit of time of picking up that design and working through the final details to get it ready to even go to construction. So,
Yeah, I think we do need to get together with you and Mike and Rob Ishmael at IRRB and do some discussing and find out specifically what they want from us before they don't give us any money.
yeah. And was there ever a grant agreement put in place with the DNR, I assume, for the Bonneville funds? Where is that? Usually after the Bonneville funds are awarded at the end of May, the administrator of the funds reaches out to the city regarding putting together a work plan for the funds. So I haven't seen or.
We checked after that meeting that we had, Jason, we
Yeah.
who asked the same question. At that point, there had not been.
Okay, so it's probably worth reaching out to them as well to figure out where that stands in the process of executing and being awarded those funds.
When I talked to Chris, and I don't know if this came up in the meeting when you guys all met here, I got the impression that here's what he told me. He said, IRRB will help, but you need to have all your other finance. He said, we're not the same IRRB we used to be, where you can come to us first. You need to go out and find, this is what he told me. I don't know,
Okay.
you know what I mean? I'm just kind of relaying what I took as a message from him. He basically said, you need to go out and find all your other resources and then come back to us with what you're missing. If that makes sense. I'm new at this.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's.
I'm new at this. It was basically saying, show us where everything else is.
Yeah.
And then come back to us and we will try to make, see if we can help make up the difference or whatever. So.
Yeah, I think another meeting's in order based upon what I'm hearing. So yeah, I'll like I said, I'll be, can make my schedule available. If the committee wants to get back together, reach out to IRRR and this thing's been sitting around for about, 6 months or so. So whenever you guys are ready, I will follow your lead.
Yeah, I appreciate it if we could get going on this a little bit, and I don't know whether we'll be able to start this spring or not, but we've got to get it moving.
You mean as far as putting a shovel in the ground? I would say that's highly unlikely based upon the permitting process at this point. But can definitely figure out how soon that can happen after some meetings.
And that's what we need to work on the financial with Patterson and see if we can do similar things with a lower bond payment to begin with and
Yep.
accelerate it as we get this big and off our backs in 2 years.
Yep, but definitely reach out to George and I can get him information. He can run some numbers and maybe we can back into what is based upon that financing, what is the grant money that you still need to seek in order to make this project viable.
Right. Okay, do you want us to set up a meeting up here and have Rebecca set a meeting up? And
Yeah, I would.
Open dates?
Yeah, reach out to me. My schedule's fairly busy, but if you look out a couple of weeks and give me a couple options, I'll figure something works in my schedule.
Would you like to do that as a committee? Paul, would you be able to participate to video?
You bet. I can really be a computer here. I'll be back in March.
All right. Because Paul and I are on the committee, so set it up this way.
Yep, right.
Thank you. Thanks, Jason.
One thing on that, I think you move you to go to the IRRB office and have that meeting. instead of here.
So when,
Because we
when-
might have the
Yeah.
director also be here.
so when Becky sets up the meeting, I would request that we have it at either of our offices.
Yeah, I think it would be moving a little bit. Seems like you get a little bit more information. And if Chris can't answer it, if Cheryl can't answer it, it's locked down all the answer for us. When we work with it in the past, it seems to work a little better.
Yep.
I recommend you go there.
Okay, thank you, Jason.
Okay, thanks, Jason.
Absolutely.
Moving on to item 10, committee reports, update on heat pump issues. 10A.
Okay, so this, if you have an invoice in front of you, that is for what would cost to, what we're going to be, for the, that is out. We know that one has to be replaced, this is, what it's cost for that, so. To do that, I need you to, make a motion to approve that purchase. But going forward, when they come to install this heat pump, they're gonna look at two different heat pumps, heat pump 14 and heat pump 26. And those are for the clinic area. One of those pumps isn't working properly, and he wasn't 100% sure which one it was, so he wants to come in and make sure which pump it is and what's specifically going on. He also said he's going to give us a better list of what is wrong with each pump, so that we can look over. And then he's going to give us a list of what he would think would be priorities for the heat pumps.
So the refined list of what we had every meeting.
Right, correct, yep.
All right. And with that, 13, what part of the building is that, Sherry?
That one is the senior center.
The senior center, okay. All right.
Did this steering committee, get involved in this?
Yes. Yep, we had a meeting, last week
Yep.
about
Or
it.
2
weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I went over a list of, the different heat pumps and what updates they need. But they'll refine the list a little bit to show exactly what's going on with each heat pump and then what the priorities would be.
All right, thank you. And did we, just one other thing, did we also get, a couple of quotes or do we just do one?
Just the one from Mary, plumbing and heating. This pump was really, it took probably 3 weeks almost to find it. So,
Question for Joel, I guess, and is, this is the company we've been working on the heat pumps right now.
Okay.
Would we necessarily have to have a quote from 2 other ones, or are we within our bounds of going with this company?
No, you can, it's not subject to the bid process.
Is it 175,000, is that what
I thought it was like 10,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah, correct,
The
yes,
rule,
yes,
right,
right,
yeah, so, and I will say that, when we got, when the steering committee, we did quite a bit of due diligence and talked to a lot of the companies. When we started the heat pump thing, we were at around $18,000 for a pump. And at that point, the one that we got replaced from them, we did, if I'm not mistaken, we did for around $8,000 or less, it was less than $8,000. So we really felt that we hit the jackpot in finding these guys to work with. And this price here is still, most of these heat pumps are fairly the same, you know, there's little differences, and the biggest change, I mean, we're gonna say the biggest change, like this one's at $10,000, that other one was about 7,500, is where it's at and what it takes to replace it, the labor costs.
yeah, and this is including the labor, so
Yeah,
this one is
right.
around 8,000.
Yeah. But, so, I'm gonna make a motion that we go ahead and have that replaced by Iron Range Plumbing and Heating.
I'll second that motion. Give it the bar.
Okay, motion by Lossing, second by Hoheisel. to have Iron Range Plumbing and Heating replace heat number 13. Discussion?
If I could,
And put proposal together on what else.
Oh, yeah.
Fix, make sure that's.
All right. Okay, and then we'll add to that, we'll be looking for a refined proposal as discussed at the steering committee meeting. So we can better understand some of the stuff on, we're gonna make it easier for us as a council to understand. We identified some stuff that was a little bit, we questioned it, so I know that it'd be better if they came back a little bit different than the original, a little unclear for us, so we'll add that to the motion as well. So, any other discussion?
no, that's answered.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Roll call?
Lasky,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Hoheisel,
Yes.
Lossing.
Yes. Okay. Thank you on that. 10C, Circus Spectacular. So, in front of us, we have the Recreation Board recommendations for the Circus Spectacular that wants to come to town. I guess you guys probably all read that. I think the board came up with, we had, the rec coordinator did some checking on other communities that are having this circus come to town. Their question was, what would you charge us to use the arena per day? And after looking at what's being done in other communities, the dollar figure we came up with was $3,000 a day. And then we would also have them sell family pass tickets for students for the Northeast Range, a package deal, including two adults and 3 children, as you can see on this. There would be a $500 cleaning deposit. The circus will take care of concession, and they can host as many shows as they want in that period of time. If they want to do a matinee or an evening, you'd surely be allowed to do that. And then the rest of it is just logistics on the seating capacity and contact people and the dates that are proposed. It looks like mid-April probably. So that's stuff that needs to be worked out with the circus. And then included, you can see some of the stuff they've done at Hibbing International Falls. I think it's on there, but just some more information from the circus. So that's the recommendation from the rec committee.
Could you explain the seating capacity current 858? What does it mean with the 585 need?
That's on the school side or the west side of the ice sheet there, Jim.
Yeah.
Those bleachers haven't been pulled out for a long time. So that's where she's got here. I believe 585 need railing and steps built. I'm kind of guessing on that, not 100% sure.
Yeah,
Did you remember that, Joe?
Yeah, so we're limited by capacity, right? So if we wanted to be like some of the other arenas that they come to, we don't have the same amount of seating capacity as they do because we don't ever use that size. So what she's saying, that's how we derived at the amount of stuff we can offer to, was based on our seating in comparison to like hitting and I-falls and stuff like that.
So 585 is the bleachers we have pulled out right now. And then if we pull those other bleachers out that have been used for them, have the 858, so I think what we're thinking is that that's probably maybe 500 people there for the circus, probably makes it good. So,
Yeah.
and I think he'll have an idea when this is presented to him, whether he expects to have a lot more than that or not. And then she can work that out with the circus.
No, we don't want the seating collapsing on people. Okay.
I just got one question. That arena, when we shut it down first week of March or whatever, that they just open the doors and that's how they eliminate the ice. Will it be on there?
She called in today and said that, it should be off by then. She shouldn't we shouldn't have any issues with having ice in the building by mid-April.
You've got some experience with that, Tony. I mean, there are ways you can expedite that.
Well, we can apply some mechanical advantage and
Right, that's what I'm saying. You can move some ice, you can move some stuff outside of the skid steer.
there's some ways to mitigate if it's gonna be an issue.
Okay.
Let the ice are up at Slopes.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Okay, thanks, Paul. Okay, do you have a motion for a circus spectacular?
Yeah, I make the motion that we go ahead and let Kate make the offer presented as that first paragraph.
No second?
Alrighty, there's a motion by White, second by Lassie, to go ahead and, have the rec director contact circus spectacular on these terms. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call?
Lassie,
Yes?
White,
Yes,
Anderson,
Yes.
Hoheisel,
Yes.
Lossing.
Okay, moving on to item number 11, Rams Board alternate.
They're requesting, the Rams board is requesting, in case I can't make it to the Rams meeting, they're asking all the Rams members to have an alternate and have that on the roster so they can do that. That way, if I can't make the meeting and we have an alternate, they're allowed to vote that. So we are a voting member of this organization. So, the only other thing is, make sure you understand I am the assistant over there, so if your director is there,
Gives them responsibilities.
you have a little more responsibilities.
That means you gotta run the meeting. Just for those, I just wanted to like to say for those in the audience, RAMS means Range Association of Municipalities and Schools, right? So, and, they do a lot of lobbying and they do a lot of great stuff for all communities and schools in the area. And Glenn has been our representative there for a long time. Got to go over and witness it here this winter, and it's amazing what they do. So, anyway,
I would throw my hand in the ring if no one else wants it.
I'd move to appoint Joe as the alternate.
I will second that. Motion by Lassie, second by Lossing, to appoint Joe as the Rams Board alternate. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Right. 11B, approve resolution 2024-03, a resolution establishing an absentee ballot board.
I'll second that.
Motion by Hoheisel, second by Anderson, to approve resolution 2024-03, a resolution establishing an absentee ballot board.
So just a question, I'm assuming this is something we do every year. So this is just my first year.
Yes,
Okay.
every election,
Any other discussion? All in favor? Roll call. Roll call?
Lassie,
Yes.
White,
Yes,
Anderson,
Yes.
Hoheisel,
Yes.
Lossing.
Yes. 11C, approve resolution for election judges and their pay.
I'll move, resolution 2024-04.
Second?
Motion by Anderson, second by Lassie. Resolution 2024-04. Discussion? Roll call?
Lassie,
Yes.
White,
yes,
Anderson,
Yes.
Hoheisel,
Yes.
Lossing.
Yes. 11D, appoint Todd Hakela as acting chief.
Mayor, I'd like to intervene here. The safety committee met at the discuss officers and what's been going on with the whole thing. Coming out of that, we only had one individual come in for the chief's position. We spent over $1,000 on advertising throughout the state, and we only had one individual. So at this point, what I would like to do is, instead of looking Todd as acting chief, I would like to promote Troy Bissonette to the chief position. The board talked about it. We know he's young, but he's gonna be around for a long time. And we felt that it was appropriate to put this route. Like I say, we've spent over a month, we spent $1,000 other than Troy. So with no officers coming forward, we should just move it along.
I'll second that.
Go ahead, Joe.
Sorry.
That's okay. I yield.
Motion by Anderson, second by White to promote Troy Bissonette to police chief. Discussion.
Yeah, I'd just like to, I'm sorry, let's go into this.
I was just, should we establish the rate of pay? You have a recommendation plan as far as?
Well, I would say it's up to the chief's position right now. He's an officer that's proven himself already. He's at that operating chief's position that he paid for
Yeah.
his right now. So,
Would you put that in the motion?
yes, I'll add that to the motion.
Add that to the motion.
And that's what we've done, that's been past procedure.
If it's within a department, if it hasn't been, no, then we talk about the 90, but this is a promotion within the department. And that's what that's as long as it's interim. So,
And I'll second that addition.
addition.
And I was just gonna say for the record, that, not only do I know Troy personally and all the work he's done with the ambulance department, he is a top-notch young man. And I did do due diligence talking to his boss, former chief, and it is his recommendation as well that Troy would make an outstanding addition, as a chief.
And I will add to that Mike did write us a nice letter of recommendation for Troy and highly talked with him. So, any other discussion? Roll call.
Lasky,
Yes?
White,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Hoheisel,
Yes.
Lossing.
Congratulations, chief.
It's okay to smile.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. Moving on to new business F, para eligibility for Keith Nyman.
Now, for para, I'm sure you read over what I had given you. As soon as a member or an employee of the city reaches $425 a month as their gross income, they have to be enrolled within para. So Keith Nyman has made that eligibility requirement, and so I'm asking the council on what type of para plan you would choose to put him in. So there's the coordinated plan, which is what most of the employees are part of, and then there's also the police officer plan. There's a little bit difference in percentages that are taken and what the employers pay in. I believe it's 11.5 for the city for the coordinated plan, and then 17.5 for the officers plan that the employers pay. So,
You have a history of this, guys, that prevented before?
Before the requirement was $5,100 to qualify, and it was harder to do that annually. Now in June of this past year, they just changed it to $425, which is a lot easier to meet that requirement. So there's different with part-time employees, if they work 6 months or under, you can kind of, have an exclusion code for that, they would be considered seasonal workers. Mr. Nyman worked 7 months this past year. So we are required to, have him partake in para.
So our other employees are at 11.5 as well.
For the coordinator plan, I believe that's what it is. But the officers, they do, all of our other officers, our full-time officers are part of the officer, fire plan, so police and fire plan.
All of
All
our
of our other
officers
officers.
And fire.
Yep, that's fire. So with that, if you were to choose that, I would have to make a resolution, that would have to be my resolution, so.
Coordinated, what cost the city less money? Coordinated plan.
Well, I make a motion to go with the coordinated plan. And we'll take some, be a full-time officer, and then we can bump them up to 17. I would make that motion to go with that.
A second.
Second. But,
Well, we seem to have a little,
Delay.
delay here, but
hey, I hear that.
I think we'll all have to take a deep breath.
Okay, motion made by Anderson, supported by Lassie to, keep an eye on the coordinated para plan. Any other discussion?
That would bring that as a resolution to this one.
Nope, we don't need a resolution for it.
Okay, okay.
So we can't vote on it.
Okay.
All right. Any other discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Lassie.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Hoheisel.
Yeah.
Lossing.
Yes. Moving down to letter G. Hiring of EMT applicants for Babbitt ambulance service.
Well, isn't, what Christine wanted. Yeah, she can speak to that. This would be where you step up on the EMT hiring, or did you get that on that? Thank you.
Yeah. that one.
So we're just hoping to hire Amy as a new EMT on the service. She does live out of town, but she has a seasonal job with the DNR, so she's looking to take transports mainly. And then she did offer to spend some time here doing 911 shifts as well. She's worked with Matt on the DNR, on Ely Ambulance and the Paracorps. I've worked with her on calls alongside Morris as well, and she's been an EMT since 2017. Because of her seasonal position, she's really looking to put in her time somewhere.
The transports are one of the elements that we need people for.
Absolutely.
That's what we're hurting as far as I'm understanding,
Correct.
so. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and hire. Gene.
I'll just wait and see all of this evening. I'll second the motion.
Motion by Anderson, second by White, to hire, Amy Consor as an EMT on that ambulance service. Discussion? Hearing none. Roll call?
Lassie.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Hoheisel.
Yeah.
Lossing.
Yes. Moving down to letter H, approved letter of resignation for Rich Posey from the PUC Commission.
Make a motion to accept the letter of resignation.
Second.
Any Rich Davis Dorsey, I'll get her, thank you for the opportunity, thanking us for the opportunity. So, motion on the table by Anderson, second by Lassie, to approve letter of resignation for Rich Posey from PUC Commission. Discussion, I guess I would say that we, like, need to send Rich a thank you for stepping up. He worked out with time. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. 11I, appoint new member to PUC Commission.
I'll go ahead and ask that Dave Sherman be appointed to the PUC.
Okay, Paul. I forgot to take the deep breath, Paul.
Okay. Motion by Anderson, second by Hoheisel, to appoint member Dave Sherman to the PUC Commission. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Moving to J, appoint new member to Planning Commission.
I move to appoint Dave Sherman to the Planning Commission.
Motion by Lassie, second by Hoheisel, to appoint Dave Sherman to member of the Planning Commission. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
K. 11K. Appoint new member to library board, actually appoint two new members to the library board. Oh, Les, yeah, I guess we'll move forward, we had him as M, but we will first accept Les Parsons' resignation from the board.
I'll make a motion that we accept the resignation of Les and thank him for his time. He's put a lot of input into it. And send him a letter of appreciation for his time.
I'll second.
Motion by Anderson to accept, and second by White to accept the resignation of Les Parsons from the library board. Discussion? And send him a letter of thank you, appreciation. Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now we go back to K, appoint new members to the library board.
I'll move to appoint Kathy Hoheisel to the library board.
I'll second that. Or do you want a time or you want?
We didn't do one at a time because Paul can vote on this.
Okay,
Yeah.
motion by Lassie, second by Anderson to appoint Kathy Hoheisel to the library board. Discussion? Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Norma Seen to the library board.
And I'll second that one.
Motion by Glenn, second by White, to appoint Norma Seen to the library board. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
M, or no, L, Minnesota State flag. Joe?
So, Mr. Mayor, I wanted to get this on the agenda, and I'm gonna keep it brief. I'm not gonna try to offend the entire world over all this, but, I would like to make a motion before we get too much of discussion on this, that we send a letter to the governor and to our representatives that this body disagrees with the removal of the current flag and opposes the new flag.
I will second that.
Motion by White, seconded by Lassie to write a letter to the governor opposing change in the Minnesota state flag. Any discussion?
Yes, I want to just get into it a little bit now that we have the motion on the table. It's frustrating as a veteran, number one, and there's a lot of Minnesota veterans that are in the same camp I am. In fact, on the 17th of April, we're going to be going up to the Capitol on the Hill and protesting this, among other things, for veterans' rights. You know, and there's several of us on the thing that have served our country. And when we go fight, you know, these symbols mean something to us. And I'm tired of people trying to erase our history. We weren't perfect, but deleting this isn't changing our past. In fact, it's just trying to deny what we do and deny under the guise of racism. It's tiring. I don't look at the flag and see racism. I have pride in our state flag. And I just think it's time we stop with this nonsense. I think woke people need to go back to sleep, and that we need to just accept what was and move on. We've made amends for our past. A lot of the people that we erased these national treasures we have and everything, no one's even alive that was a part of that at that time. We're destroying our history one state at a time. And I frankly think unless we start standing up in unity and defying this and say we're not going to take it anymore, we're just going to lose our entire history, our culture, our heritage. It's ridiculous. And so I encourage everybody, call your state legislature. At minimum, this should be something that the entire state votes on in November. There shouldn't be a group of people in the metro that decide they don't like something. And if you read the articles, they start out with they just don't like the flag. And then they go into it trying to explain it's racist, you know, to justify why they want to get rid of it. I think it's ignorant, and that I would like the support of this governing body, that we display our utter disdain for what they want to do. The metro does not represent Minnesota. It doesn't. It's full of people from other countries that are being allowed to live in our country. We can't be changing everything to accommodate those that don't live here. They should assimilate to our way of life, not bring their country here. We're Americans. And people died for those flags and for what it represents.
Good job, Joe.
Last but not least, the new flag looks like a dilapidated PowerPoint slide that had no brain power put into it. I'm sorry to the female that was 23 years old who won it. I'm not trying to personally offend you, but the flag is ridiculous. It's some third world junkie flag. We need to keep what we have.
Well said, Joe.
Thank you, Joe, that was well said. So, stand up for what you think is right. Happy enough, thank you. Okay, yes. Okay, so, motion on the table to, have Becky draft a letter to the governor on our stance on keeping the flag as a commitment decision.
You had to have this ground line on us, John.
Yeah, and the local, our legislatures.
And local legislatures.
And in the letter to say if there was anything like that, it should be something that the people need to vote on. There shouldn't be a committee created in the city that decides something that represents our entire state.
How about you help me?
I will help you draft it. I'll be happy.
Yeah, there you go. That sounds good. Okay.
Just try to keep it clean.
I will do that part.
So did you Joe made the motion, who seconded it? Motion by White, second by Lassie. Any other discussion? Hearing no other discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That brings us to the end. Move to adjourn. Next council meeting will be February 20th at 5 p.m.
Second adjournment.
Motion by Lassie, second by White. to adjourn this meeting. Thank you. Thank you for coming, everybody. Thanks, Paul.